live from our booth at the IBC, the International Broadcasting Convention in Amsterdam. This year, we invited the best industry professionals to share their views on the trends and the future of the broadcasting industry. Together with me today is Stuart Mitchell, Managing Director at Catch the Mice.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much for finding the time to chat with us.
It's an absolute pleasure.
Is this your first time at IBC?
It is, and it's huge. It's huge.
How are you finding it? Anything interesting you already saw?
I've really only just arrived, so I've got a couple of days to explore the rest of the show.
You've still got the rest of today and tomorrow to explore. But maybe let's start with you simply introducing Catch the Mice, what you guys do, what your mission is, any interesting collaborations or projects you've been working on.
Sure. Well, we're based out of the UK and based out of Manchester in the north of England. We promote used to promote, pre-COVID, privately owned hotels to the meeting and conference market. So we're pretty much connectors within the meetings, conferences, associations, markets, so that sort of sector. And then, of course, COVID killed the live event sector completely. We all had a really tough time. So Catch the Mice, we moved into event technology, started working on some virtual platforms, became the UK sales director for a couple of virtual events platforms and their customer success delivery. And that kind of snowballed from there, and we started working with other event technology and trying to educate the event sector a little bit in the UK to utilize it to, when we came back out of COVID, to use it in the real world and use it in the live event sector. And that's kind of how our collaboration with you kind of sort of came about, really.
I see. And what challenges do you think the event sector is facing right now?
Massive challenges. Firstly, there's a resource issue. That's the key issue with everything closing down for almost a couple of years. A lot of people left the sector, so we're under-resourced. We've gone back into live very much as a sort of a default situation. The virtual kind of dropped off a little bit, and the live, everyone's back into face-to-face meetings again. And everyone's trying to understand where COVID's going to go. We've obviously got COVID rising again across the world, and is it going to be another lockdown situation? How are we going to balance that? So there are so many uncertainties within the event sector, but I have a feeling that a little bit of event technology could certainly help.
I see. And what do you see then the future of the broadcast industry and the event industry evolving in the next 1, 2, 3, 5 years?
It's a really good question. We've just come off the back of a fairly large series of roadshows across the UK, where we've been re-engaging with event professionals and asking their honest opinion about what happened during COVID, the pain points, and what's going to happen. And I think we're seeing we had revolution, now we've got transition, and now we've got an element of equilibrium coming out where we're going to settle. And one of the things that we saw during lockdown, really, was everyone was struggling with really unprofessional Zoom calls, and everyone talked about Zoom fatigue and all that sort of thing. But quite frankly, the product that was being presented to the end delegate was pretty poor. And people got away with it. You know, people with cats in the background, bad lighting from behind.
Yeah,
you know, fundamentals which you as a broadcast industry understand, we didn't as the event sector. And we had to go through that pain. And I still think the product that's going out in a lot of virtual events and also hybrid events is pretty mediocre to poor. And I think we are almost a decade behind where the broadcast industry is. And I think what we're seeing now as a trend is delegates expecting a broadcast production delivery as opposed to a very much out of your bedroom Zoom call type setup.
Yeah, there's still a long way to go, I think, until we reach the point where we can surely say that we are up to speed with the technology, with the way people are using technology. And I also know, guys, that you are focused on sustainability. And could you maybe explain how shifting to the virtual could help us be more sustainable, especially now that we are evolving into this more environmentally conscious society?
I think certainly it's the buzzword. Sustainability is in every hashtag, every event you're going to. But certainly the younger generation are almost dictating that. It has to be, it's a mandate. It has to be part of the conversation. And anyone that ignores that is foolhardy. The trouble is, it's a really difficult one to balance because, sure, virtual events are probably the most sustainable way of doing it. About travel, doing it from home, all of those sort of carbon offsetting is relatively low compared to going to a physical event. But there's nothing like this. There's nothing like being in person, and that's really difficult to balance. You know, there's things that you can do to offset, but that's kind of cheating a little bit. So it's having an element of, if you can go into a virtual world and if you can do it online, absolutely. But there's nothing better than face-to-face in the event sector.
Okay, I see. So would you then say, if we shift our discussion a bit more to the AI, for example, and the metaverses that now exist, and there's a lot of companies who offer this virtual event rooms for people where you can even disguise your true identity, you can create any character you want. So would you see this as more of a threat to this in-person contact that we have been missing so much since the COVID started?
Good point. I think there was during the COVID lockdown years, there was definitely a move into that. I think, if I'm being absolutely honest, that's dropped off a little bit because people want to engage. You know, they want. Indeed. I'm a hugger. I love hugging. So it's people want to have that engagement, and I don't think we're going to go into Metaverse. I mean, I know that you do a huge amount of e-gaming, and that's all virtual. Well, a significant amount of it is virtual. And if you're into that, and I have to say, it's not a parallel universe that I know particularly well, but having spoken to those people that are in it, they're completely absorbed in that and feel almost more at home. I do a lot of work with mental health in our sector because it's vitally important. And some people feel uncomfortable to come to a networking event in person and would rather have a persona in a virtual world. So it's horses for courses, but if you can capitalize on that as an event in the events sector, absolutely. It's a way forward, and it's certainly sustainable.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the type of the event and the type of people, of course. And as I discussed with one of the industry professionals in the metaverse sector, he claimed that for some people it could be a way of getting their personality maybe hidden if they are scared of showing it or if they don't feel very comfortable. So indeed, maybe for some people it works, but for some other industries it doesn't. For a hugger like you, as you mentioned, maybe it's better to be present at this huge IBC convention. And so, have you worked on anything interesting any interesting projects in the past few months?
I mentioned the roadshows that we did, but what we did was, because we met so many people and we had a Charterhouse rules effect where people could be very open and honest about the pain we'd experienced. From that, we got lots of little tips and what were the trends of what was going to future trends for the event sector. So we we took all of that information and collated it, and we launched a State of the Industry report, which we launched about a month ago, and that's available for download. So yes, that gives all the event organisers of the future to have a look at what the tips and the trends are, and potentially what they can do to engage more with the audience. And one of the things is to utilise more event technology, and that's why I'm here, to have a look what we can find out at the show.
But are you excited to take something back from the IBC convention?
Absolutely, and I wouldn't be. I'm on your stand, so I've just seen cues what an incredible product it is, and how it helps event organisers with their run of show. I mean, quite frankly, we're still using spreadsheets, we're using printed documents. Again, you talked about sustainability earlier, but those wads of 50, 60, 70 pages, which have to be printed so many times because you're on version number 7, is challenging. Your solution delivers that, and I want to tell the UK market about it and how we can implement it into the event sector.
Tell the whole world about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you very much for this great interview. And thank you everyone for joining us here at the IBC, and we'll see you in the next interview. Bye for now.